himself. He's
Sorry, ladies, I don't know what's happening with my internet. Catch me up.
okay.
Sandra, you were still speaking.
Yes. So no, I was just basically saying like you didn't miss out on much. I was just saying that like that part is like when he thought highly of himself, always being the top student, spiritually, and even when he got to the city, he was still one step ahead of everyone else. He was looking down on them, and I think that's why things went bad. And then by the river, he started to realize that, and because he had to sin,
Hmm.
he said he had to sin for him to realize that part.
Yeah.
So I like that description. I like that part. And this was the first time he was talking as a human being.
Hmm.
Because at the beginning, as I said, he was too holy, um, too cocky. So, I mean, like, that's why I didn't like it at the beginning, but I like that part.
Hmm.
The thing is, I don't know if we can have both. That was my question. Can you be in the city and still be like how he was by the river? Can
Hmm.
we have both?
Because what you're saying is, can you have all the temptations of the city,
Yeah.
materialistic, the wealth, the lust? Can you have all of that and still be a sage? Or is it just the default setting is everybody's going to be tempted?
Yes.
Hmm. I mean, I don't know that you might reach the level of surrender that he did to himself, right? Where he literally doesn't need anything outside of himself. It just would take a lot more work. I don't think that there's anything ever in life that's impossible. I think there are some things that are more easily achievable. Um, if you're living in a place that has no temptations whatsoever.
It
Of
doesn't mean that you're not tempted.
doesn't mean, number one. And number two, it is kind of an unfair advantage, isn't it?
But that's why I wonder if he went back to the city, how would that story be?
Yeah.
Like after being by the river, after
Yeah.
this realization, can he be among people? He was still among people when he was um working as a ferryman, and but
Yeah.
I mean I was wondering if he went back to the city, what would it be like?
Yeah.
And the part that when you guys were saying that he didn't have any teachers, when I think like actually, I mean, like he didn't have a teacher as a famous one, but that the other man that he lived with, like that was actually a teacher in a way.
That was his last teacher, I believe.
Yeah. Yes, and I mean the thing is, I think he realized that he can learn something from every men and women like that were passing through the river.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, so we all have teachers. It's always going to be the same. I mean, we all need teachers. I
Well,
don't know.
that's the thing. The question is until when?
I think
Un-
until
Until
the
when?
end.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah,
Until we get
I believe you
enough.
always
When do you feel like
until you
it's
get
enough?
what?
Like when do you feel like you can trust yourself with all everything you've ever learned and you can say to yourself, I've gained enough wisdom. I don't need protocols. I don't need dogma. I don't need the books. I'm enlightened enough.
That means death.
I
I mean, like you're not learning anything new.
Mm,
I mean, like this is like for me, this is just I don't know. I have fun learning something new, and since I don't know everything,
mm,
it's just like we'll always have teachers. It's
right.
just different topics, different aspect. But I mean, like I will always have a teacher.
Mm,
I agree, Sandra, totally, totally. And it's not just teachers per se, it's people who you meet
Yes,
in your life,
yeah.
right? Our life is a journey, and you meet different people for different reasons. And they're there to teach you something, whether we want to admit it to ourselves sometimes or not. But
Mhm.
that person appears in your life for a reason or a season
Mm.
or whatever it is. And it's a message. This is personally what I'm believing right now. And this is something that I've been like, uh, it's touching me, that I feel like every person in my life is there for a specific message to me, and to
Mm.
me by God, by whoever you believe in, but it's a message sent to me to be who I am right
Yeah.
Depends on if we are open and if we are paying attention, right?
Mm.
now. Absolutely. And agreeing with it, right? Like right now, we're talking about temptations and stuff like this. I'm outside of Montreal in a resort. And I was like, shall I take the call? Shall I not take the call? I read the book. I like it. I want to share, but I'm going to waste 2 hours. But then that's the discipline. I was like, no, I need to take this call,
Mm.
you know, and I need to be okay. And I need my husband to be okay with the fact that, okay, I'm going to be busy as much as you are busy working, even when we're on holiday or whatever,
Mm.
you work. Well, that's going to be my job. My job is me.
Mm.
My job is to discipline myself to what I feel is good for me. So even at this resort right now, it's like I told them, listen, every day I need my hot water, I need lemon, I need honey, I need ginger, I need this, I need that. And they bring it to me every day. And then I said, okay, and then they're like, okay, what are it seems like you're trying to be healthy. It's like, yes, I need a basket of fruit every day, all kinds of fruits. And they're like, okay, I mean, maybe they're thinking this woman is crazy, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm happy, I'm happy. And that's it. And then at night, I just have my piece of fish and I'm okay. And I don't feel guilty anymore
Mm.
because I feel like, I did what I had to do for the last month or whatever.
Yeah.
And that helped me get and feeling healthier.
I I think we don't necessarily need a teacher, but maybe an inspiration, or the support. It doesn't be a teacher, but you will learn from others without
Yeah. Nermeen,
just watching others, watching them being inspired.
well, I mean, that's what he did with the taking people across the river, right? It was observation. So even if he says he doesn't need a teacher anymore in the traditional sense, I do
Yes.
believe that what you're saying is correct and that he was doing it more through being with people versus
Mhm.
being on the receiving end of a teacher or a discipline or something. Definitely, 100%. And it will teach you, both ways, how to be and how not to be.
Mm.
Nirmeen, go ahead.
Well, I believe all the ladies um, of as express, which it as well, growing older. Um, I now believe that it's not just teachers or health gurus or
Mm.
um, uh, anything that it actually teaches us or rituals what we how we should live and what gets. I think it's more of the experiences of the one that we ourselves go through. And art, I believe you make benefit of it more when you are more in touch with yourself and you're more present and you give room to listen to others. Because this journey that I started in September with you, Dana, have made me know that even with others, I wasn't as welcoming or as present. I might be sitting listening to a friend's issue and supporting and what have you. But when you are more in touch with yourself and you know more about yourself and your space, you can actually give more support to the others, and you can actually learn from their experiences. And the judgment part just becomes less. This journey have really made me less judgmental than I used to be. I used to be much before. And I personally believe now that everyone has their own journey, and it's not a textbook that we have learned in school or growing up with the traditional parents like learnings and stuff like that. No, there isn't one. There isn't one manual. There is infinity of manuals, and everyone has a journey. And we need to be respecting that. But the main thing I wanted to also point out for this issue of when should I be having the perfect life and the calm life. And I think a common factor, I feel it with Siddhartha or with even other readings that we have, and with this, I think it's has to I don't know, it's a question. Does it have to always come with giving up possessions and connections and um, I feel this is a very it's a question. For me, it's a question. But for me, I believe it's a yes, because when he was eating less, when he was thinking more, when he had less possessions and he had less connections with materialistic stuff, this when he was the wiser, the lighter, the maybe the happier. So I believe that this satisfaction that we all looking for, or happiness, or how do you want to call it, sometimes I think it has to come with giving up things. I don't think that one can live in the city, and I don't mean the city, the place or the physical place, because most of us, if not all, we live in cities, but one can't have all these pleasures and find comfort or be in touch with oneself and can listen to what my body's want to say, or what my soul wants. I think it always has to come. That's my personal view. It always has to come with giving up things. I don't know if this is what everyone else thinks, or.
I agree, but I mean, just in terms of how my brain functions, I don't think of it as giving anything up. I think of it as creating space, more space for myself, because we get cluttered, physically speaking, mentally speaking, we get cluttered, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the messages. Yeah, the physical clutter is a clear one, but I think when he says he needs to sort of return to himself and maybe remove the mental clutter of all the different types of teachings and all the different types of information he has, I think we need to be very discerning when it comes to physical surrounding, when it comes to what we fill our minds with. So what we fill in terms of materialistic objects, and then also what we fill in terms of intellectual information. It can get to be too much. So you have to find a way to
Let go.
let go. Let go. That's what he does. And I think that's what the rower Vasudeva. I think that's what he is. And specifically, he's very good at listening, like how you're saying that. I mean, he listens. He's very present. He's very non-judgmental. I think he sort of represents the next phase that Siddhartha eventually gets to. But when he was alive, I think he was representing that phase of just being. And he just, if you recall, he doesn't really give Siddhartha advice. Like, he doesn't give him a lot of advice. He doesn't say, you need to do this and this and this. He just listens.
Yes, he was even with this thing with the interaction with his son and the challenge he had.
Yeah.
It seems like it took a long while, and he left him do whatever he was doing with his son, but then he actually gave him the advice
in the end.
In the end, he let him for a while, and then he.
And how many of us can do that? How many of us can just sit and listen in silence without offering an opinion?
This is very hard.
It's very hard.
Especially with daughters and sons and people who are close to you. You always want to jump and roll your sleeves and do one thing or another, but which is actually now it's ridiculous because after all the experiences one have, you actually learn from your experience. So if you deprive them from those experiences, this will delay the learning. Like, personally, my learning was delayed because of this protection environment that I was brought up with. This what made my learning start after 50. So one should avoid it actually with loved ones.
Oh. Dina, you have something to add?
Yeah, that made me think right now, everything that we're saying is that we need to find our purpose. We need to identify the things that are most important to us and that give our life meaning and purpose. Because I feel like when we're living in alignment with our values and passion, that we will naturally feel more fulfilled and confident in ourselves. And that's very much aligned with our feminine energy.
And why that's what we're going to end the program with next month.
Exactly.
Joy and
Hopefully.
passion. Yes. 100%. And that is, I mean, that was what he was seeking, right? He's seeking that passion. He's seeking that purpose. He's seeking, for him, it was enlightenment. And he gets it.
But he got it when he stopped searching.
Exactly. When he let go.
No, but he actually got it after he went nose down.
Yes, that too.
Yep.
Yes.
You went through the phase of the discipline, of doing everything the way it should be done, of powering through, breaking down, disillusionment, and then finally getting the enlightenment he wanted. So, which always obviously begs the question, can you get to what you want without going through those phases?
I think it's hard. I think you have to experience firsthand to be able to say.
Or whatever it takes to be humble. So, I mean, like, if you can be humble without stumbling like that many times or do these kind of mistakes, then all right, you got there. But the thing is, for him, in order to be humble, he needed to go through that.
But don't you think that's how it is for everybody? I mean, where do we get humility from? It's from the stumbling.
I mean, like, we all learn in a different way, but I mean, not necessarily like I don't need, like, for example, for him or for like the purpose of the book, it went really down. Like, he was a gambler and he was like, he really went so deep into that. So with us, like, I mean, it doesn't have to be that far. I mean, you will know. Like, I mean, I think God as well. He sends things your way to make you humble.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just up to you. Sometimes we just don't learn our lesson, so it has to be repeated again and again and again until you finally get it. So it depends on what will make you look and learn.
But do you think that most people have to go through what's called, and what he went through, the dark night of the soul, where you question everything, every single decision you've ever made, every relationship you've had, and you really, it's called the dark night, like your soul goes to a really, and it was mentioned in Feminine Genius, if you remember, she talks about going through the dark night of the soul, where it's almost as a rite of passage, like in order for you to come out of that, that tunnel of darkness to where you get to where you are in tune with your soul's desires, where you are able to let go, no judgment, allow yourself to feel and experience and allow yourself to figure out your passions and joy. You need to go through this very dark tunnel first. And everybody goes through a little bit differently. Could be, your whole world collapses. Maybe you get divorced and lose your job at the same time and lose your home. It could be like that. It could be less obvious to the outside world, but it could be a very internal struggle that you go through quietly. Maybe you just see some things that you thought were the way you wanted to live. You see people around you are not really who they seem to be. And then you have to make a choice. Like, you either are going to stay in this and continue to live something that is not in alignment with you, or you're going to allow yourself to break free of it, which can be quite painful, and come out at the other side with less things, fewer relationships, maybe different home, different city, but you're living in a true alignment with what means the most to you and what gives you the most happiness and fulfillment. I think everybody goes through some form of that, some varying intensity.
I think we go through that. I mean, you have to go through one of those shocking, life experiences, whether it's a loss of someone, a loss of something, a loss of part of you. And this is when you go into this dark sort of, place. And this is when you find yourself embarking on a self journey.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think when this happens, I don't know of people who've done this on their own. Like, usually you have someone there to help you. Okay. Be it a therapist, a shrink, a friend, a mentor. And it's very profound, and it's very scary, because it's like you have to face your own demons, kind of, you meet them face to face.
Yeah.
Yes, and deal with them, and then luckily, hopefully, you come, on the other side of the tunnel. But it's a lot of work. And I've seen people who transform, after that similar experience, and I've seen people who would resist.
Yes, of course.
Okay. And as we mentioned earlier, it's not an age thing, because I've seen people in their 70s, but age doesn't, it doesn't mature them, so to speak.
No.
And doesn't change them. And younger people who, yes, realize the opportunity, lying there, and seize it, take advantage of it, and start really transforming and becoming who they are, or who they were meant to be, or who they like to be.
Yeah, I think most people are presented with the potential or an actual dark night of the soul, but not everybody, it's an opportunity. Not everybody takes that opportunity, self-transformative opportunity, to see where it gets them on the other side. Yeah. Laila.
Yes, I agree. I mean, we used to call it, what doesn't break you makes you stronger.
Mhm.
And then now looking back, you think that you were oh, I was lucky to go through some several experiences, because now I know if something happens, there must be a reason to it, or at least I have this attitude now. It's أيوة, it's a good blah blah blah, but at the end of the day, I think and I go يعني how do you say it? You try to find out, and if I can't, I just wait and let it go, and eventually I will know, or I will realize, oh, this is why this happened, and this is what I learned from it, or this is how I you reflect afterwards, and I think you just get yeah, richer. It's enriching your life. يعني at the time when something happens, you feel like, oh my God, why does this happen to me, and that stuff. And by time you say, okay, this is enriching actually, but you have to get there first.
By time you come to the realization that, oh no, why is this happening to me? But this is happening for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Who had their hand up? Dina?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Laila was saying, and I agree also with what Amir, everybody was saying. I feel like everyone has their own wake up call.
Yeah.
You know, everyone has their own, not necessarily trauma, but not trauma, but everyone has a wake up call where you're like, it's about time that we start realizing what is good for us.
Yes.
What serves our purpose?
Mhm.
Do I need that person in my life? Do I need to eat that bag of chips to be okay? Do I need that piece of chocolate
Yeah.
to get satisfied? You know? So it is definitely, for me, for example, I felt it again when all of a sudden you feel like the carpet has been pulled from underneath you and you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? You know? For many other things, like health wise, family wise, and everything. I was like, how do I deal with this? And this is the dark hole that you get into, and then you start reflecting on everything. And then also with the estrogen level that keeps dropping, it doesn't help either, you know? So, and the whole,
Siddartha didn't have estrogen.
I know, but us, we do, right?
Yeah.
And it makes that self questioning of why am I doing this for everybody there, even more than ever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Delia, go ahead.
Can I just read a paragraph in the chapter? I really liked it. Okay, so it's the last chapter in page 123. Their realization and knowledge of what wisdom actually is slowly blossomed and ripened within Siddhartha. He now knew what the goal of his goal was more than a readiness of the soul, an ability and secret method of thinking the thought of unity every moment of his life, and being able to feel and inhale the unity. This is what blossomed within him and was shining back at him.
Yep.
So this is like this. So
Yeah.
it's when you're ready,
Yep.
you will start accepting.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and the paragraph also that says, when Siddhartha listened attentively to the river, to the song of 1,000 voices, when he did not listen to the sorrow or laughter, when he did not bind his soul to any one particular voice and absorb it in his self, but heard them all, the whole, the unity, then the great song of 1,000 voices consisted of one word, perfection. Yeah. And then also in that same chapter, I can't find it. There was something else in this chapter if I find it. Yeah. Oh, with how he sees people differently, right? He regarded people in a different light from previously, not very clever, not very proud, and therefore all the more warm, curious, and sympathetic. So the people he used to mock for not being smart enough, not being profound enough, he used to look down on them. Now they're more warm and they're more sympathetic. Like he completely turns his vision around and loses the judgment. Anybody else would like to share, ladies? Or maybe you'd like to share the biggest insight for you that you'll be carrying off with this book.
There was somewhere, but I can't find it right now, where he mentioned that how, for example, joy and sorrow, and there is no actually differentiation between the two. It's like they're coined together. That's another thing that the previous book was also talking about, and I think it was mentioned in another book before that.
Yeah.
It's just this is like for me this is like it's been 3 times that like I've noticed that like the connection between pain and joy.
Yeah. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
One thing I learned, and I might have mentioned it a few times maybe in the thought model class, is when you look back at your life, really, you're going to see that it's been about 50% joy and 50% sorrow. And there's just a regular pendulum swing between the two. When you're too much in the joy, at some point something's going to happen and take you to the sorrow. When you're deep in the sorrow, something's going to happen to lift you out of your sorrow. And it's just going to go back and forth like this. You can't feel one without having felt the other one. It's impossible.
Also, there's the part when he said, you've heard it laugh about the river, but you haven't heard everything. Let's listen, you'll hear more. It's about being patient, that not all the knowledge, not all the wisdom will come at once.
All at once.
We need to be patient. It will come at phases, yes.
And that comes with age. That's one of the things why, wisdom comes with age, because I mean, tell that to a 20-something-year-old, who thinks they know everything. I mean, we were all there, right? We can relate to that. But the truth is, even now, mid-age, we know that we can't know everything right away as much as we want to, and it's something that has to happen incrementally. But we're okay with it. That's the difference now.
And also awareness. I think it's just not just patience or age. I think awareness. I believe that just to be aware of the things that are happening and to give it thought and not to be washed away with this craziness of speed and multitasking and head of heels kind of life that's now very, very quick. Is that you always have you need to always retreat and find your quiet place and reflect and just be aware of the things that are happening. And it's not easy. It's easier said than done, especially nowadays, but I think it's very important. And this even this yani can make up with the age thing, because I have known people that are younger, but now open to more of this kind of holistic approaches we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And they are definitely more aware than me, that I'm like 20 plus years older than them.
Yeah.
Because they're in touch with, and they're in touch with with themselves. They read more about those approaches.
Yeah.
There's no one single road to where you want to reach, again, because this is what we've been told before. You need to study hard, work hard, then you will reach X, and then you will reach Y, and then you get married, and then you have kids, and then you do, this is like this whole roadmap that is, it has been proven that is not the right path. Is important for someone to know more about how to be in touch with themselves, and to lead a better life, and find the purpose in life, and all of those things.
Definitely, these things is one of the good things that they gotten sort of faster than we did, that they're getting there faster than we did.
Yes.
Definitely it has to do with the fact that we have come to this awareness, that those of us who do come to this awareness, we can pass that on to them. And then, because not everybody does, especially when it comes to sort of, the steps in life, there's still many people who still believe that these are the steps, Nirmin, right? This is how you do it. And then continue, this is one of those generational patterns, right? Continue to pass on those generational patterns. But if you happen to be somebody who looks at it and says, I don't think this is the only way, there must be other ways, you can open the way for that way of thinking for your children. And then obviously social media has helped with this a lot also. So we didn't have such easy access to, thinkers, gurus, writers, people who had the guts to go out and try it and do it differently, and then come share and give you an insight and give you a look inside to what it looks like, that you can start to think, well, if somebody else has done it, then why can't I? So definitely I agree with that 100%. Yeah. This is one advantage, I think, of them getting to where they don't have to wait to be in their 50s to figure this out. I think this is one piece of wisdom that if they can figure it out in their 20s will serve them better than sort of how we're trying to figure it out now in our 50s and trying to fix it. Anybody else have any last thoughts to share on Siddartha? All right, ladies, our next book is...
Can I say something?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I just love how all the books complete each other. So Siddhartha and the Prophet, even Feminine Genius, they all, when we read them with this awareness and those views, I think every time they complete the previous books. So I just like the choices. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm really happy to hear that. Yes. We're going to take a slightly different turn with the next few.
Say again.
How about you lead the next one?
So yeah, the next
Lead the next one. Oh my God.
The next book is
Sandra was suggesting that I should lead the next one, but I'm not sure.
well, the next one is Pride and Prejudice, and then the one after that is Naguib Mahfouz's trilogy. So even though these are pure, I mean, even Siddhartha is fiction, right? The Prophet is fiction, but they're teaching you something. They're books, they're self-help books, but these are like novels, right? But nonetheless, what they're going to teach you is still profound. It's just the way, the encasement is different. You want to do Pride and Prejudice, Dina?
Sorry. Your line keeps cutting, or my.
Oh,
Are you ladies going to read the Naguib Mahfouz book in Arabic or in English?
yeah, ladies, I'm back.
I got the Arabic version.
I'm gonna read it in English.
I'll
Yeah,
do
my
the
Arabic
I'll
is
do the
lousy.
Arabic.
Oh, wow. I'm doing the English.
But
Yeah.
to be honest, I'm gonna do like one book, one movie. One.
I'm I've never read
Okay.
this. I've never read the book. I've read other Naguib Mahfouz books. I've never read this one, and maybe it was just the sheer size that scared me off before. And I started, and I am and I'm reading English, so I can imagine what the Arabic must be like, but I am in love, in love, in love. It is so vivid. And maybe because we just connect to this culture, like he's just it's like you're in it, and you can imagine the places exactly that he's referring to, right? But I mean, what, and I'm only like 100 pages in, but what a masterpiece. And whoever, I have to see who did the translation, because it's all coming through. I don't feel like there's anything lost in the translation. I would love, my Arabic is not so strong, so maybe after I read it first in English, then I can challenge myself and go read it in Arabic. But oh, ladies, don't miss this one. Egypt, yes, Egypt, yeah.
Yeah.
Dina.
So yes, Sandra was just proposing that me and her, we would like host the next book call.
Okay.
So I don't
I would
know.
love it.
Okay, perfect. So Sandra, we're on.
Okay, you guys are on Pride and Prejudice, which is another great classic, right? It's one of those, it's a canon. So very, very exciting to discuss that. And then the last one will be I Saw Ramallah, which I haven't read before. So that's going to be a first one for me, but very apt, I think, to close with that. Next week, we have our last call on movement. And then you two ladies will do Pride and Prejudice. And then we'll start the final module. We only have 6 weeks left. Final module, which is joy and passion combined. And then we'll do those 2 books. And then we finish on June 30th, inshallah. All right. I will see you all again, same time, same place next week, ladies. Thank you again for a wonderful call, and looking forward to seeing you next week, inshallah. Good night.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye.
Thank you.